Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Sober. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the next installment of Mythic Plus Guide, the path to KSM, Keystone Master, and get that awesome mount. For this video, I want to talk about the affixes. Last video, we talked about being prepared, knowing that some of the dungeons, some add-ons, and weak auras to kind of help make things a little bit smoother for you. On this video, we're going to talk about the affixes because those are super important. Knowing them and knowing what they do is a key part to timing your keystone. So let's start with the weekly affix, and it will either be fortified or tyrannical. Fortified is non-boss enemies have 20% more health and inflict up to 30% increased damage. On the other side, alternating week will be tyrannical. Bosses have 30% more health and deal 15% more damage. So tyrannical, your bosses are going to have more health, they're going to do more damage, they're going to be tougher to down and more like DPS checks, especially on certain dungeons. Mists, top is rough, DOS. So make sure you know the affixes and what you're going into. And then starting at level 4, you'll get an additional affix: bolstering, bursting, inspiring, raging, sanguine, or spiteful. Right now we have sanguine. Sanguine can be tricky, especially if you have caster mobs, because when an enemy dies, it drops a pool on the ground that heals any enemy mobs that are in it, but damages any players that are in it. So if you've got a caster mob standing in a pool of sanguine, it can easily heal itself all the way back up. It can get a bit tricky. Now with spiteful, as you kill bosses, and this is one melee needs to watch out for because they will one-shot you. As you kill mobs, as you kill trash, spirits will spawn and they'll target a random player. You'll get little red eyes above your head. Easy to see, but you'll get red eyes above your head. All you have to do is run away from them. They'll die on their own. This season it seemed like most groups opted to kill them, just because I think it made it faster because our DPS was that much higher. But melee, you don't want to get hit by them because if they hit you, they will one-shot you, unless you've got a significant amount of gear, and they'll still hurt, and your healer's got to then heal through it, which is going to take you longer. Raging, non-boss enemies at 30% health will then deal 75% increased damage until they're killed. So it's almost like they get an enrage to them. So you need to be careful with this one, to try and focus down priority targets. So you want to try and mitigate how many mobs have raging at a time, unless you can incapacitate them long enough to kill them. So if you can chain incap them, or keep them in place with a binding shot, or ring of frost, or you can drop a ring of peace to keep the mobs from hitting your group and you can kite them, it's not as dangerous and you can just blow them all up. But generally speaking, you want to try to spread out and the damage that you're doing to an extent. Inspiring is a single mob in a pack will put an aura that makes their nearby allies immune to crowd control effects. So, you know, this guy's got inspiring, so these guys pick up that buff from that mob, meaning until this one is killed, these ones can't be interrupted, so they're free casting. You can't trap them, you can't clone them, you can't sheep them, you can't do anything. There's a couple ways to deal with this. You can sheep or trap or sap or any other kind of CC on the inspiring mob, the mob that actually has the buff, and then burn the rest of the pack. Or you can focus the mob and blow up the inspiring one, and once he's dead, the rest of the trash will lose that buff. So inspiring is not terrible. You have bursting, another one you got to watch out for with AoE. Get a feel for it. Your healer will usually advise on how many stacks they can take, but keep an eye out on it, because what it'll do is non-boss enemies will explode on death, causing all players to suffer flat damage that scales with the level. So, and it stacks. So if you kill 5 mobs in one shot, you'll have 5 stacks of bursting that are going to go off. And you can quickly get one shot from that. It's happened on my monk plenty of times. I've forgotten that it was bursting. First pull, tank grabs the first 3 packs. We blow them all up in one shot, and you know, you have a dead monk. And then bolstering. That's your last level 4 keystone or affix. So non-boss enemies buff nearby allies on death, increasing maximum health by 15% and damage by 20, and that affects stacks. So as you kill the mobs, this one dies, so this one gets buffed, and then this one gets buffed, and that one gets buffed. You kill that one, these two then have the double buff, and you kill this one, and this one now is triple buffed and wrecking house, and your tank can't stay alive. So the way you deal with that is you want to kill all the trash in a pull as closely together as you can. So you want to focus the target that has the highest amount of health, 59k, 77.4k, and this is where it comes in as important as having a different plate setup for your bars, for your enemy frames, so you can see their health clearly, and as you are targeting them, focus the higher one. You still want to cleave an AoE to burn everything down, but you want to try and get them all dead as quickly as possible. Now your next affix is going to come in at keystone 7 and higher. So now you're going to have your weekly affix of either fortified or tyrannical. Then you're going to have your level 4 affix and your level 7 affix, which is explosive, grievous, necrotic, quaking, volcanic, and storming. So any one of those will be paired with one of the others. This week we have grievous, which is an injured players suffer increasing damage over time until healed. That's a healer affix, and healers hate it. It's rough. Now, while below 90%, that's kind of the cutoff there. So the healers got to get you up to 90%, and then that grievous is not affecting you. Explosive, creatures have a chance to summon an explosive orb nearby that will explode after 6 seconds, inflicting damage 40% of the player's maximum health. So with those, you want to make sure they don't take much. Just an auto attack will do, but you want to get those killed before they blow up. So that's a DPS priority. Make sure that those die. That is priority number one on explosive week. You want to make sure that you have somebody getting them done. A druid can just throw out a moonfire or a sunfire, or if they want to waste a star surge on it, they can. But a moonfire or sunfire will do it. Warlocks can throw a dot. Mages can throw a ice lance. They're usually best for it. Shaman, I think, just wind shear it and they go away. So explosive's not terrible if you know what to look out for and you got somebody who's on top of it. Quaking, players will periodically quake, interrupting spellcasts of the players. And nearby allies will take 40% of the maximum health as damage. So you don't want to overlap them. It'll put a circle on your feet around you, and you don't want your circle to be over top of one of your friends, one of your party members, because that's going to, one, deal their damage to you and your damage to them. But if you're by your healer and he's in a cast, you'll stun him, could cause a wipe. Melee doesn't really need to worry about it. We just need to make sure we're not overlapping anybody. Casters need to watch out because they will get silenced in that school. So if you're a frost mage or I'll say fire mage and you're casting a fireball and you let quaking go off while you're in fireball cast, you won't cast any fire spells for however long that silence is. It may be like 3 or 4 seconds. And that's Quaking's, like I said, another easy one. Necrotic can get pretty rough. Enemy melee attacks apply a stacking debuff that deals damage and reduces healing received. The debuff lasts 9 seconds and is dispelled when exiting combat. So for this, you want strong AoE CC, or you want to be able to slow them. So a Frost Mage is nice. This way the tank can kite it and get at it. So the Necrotic is a tank affix. Melee doesn't need to worry about it unless they somehow get aggro, and ranged doesn't need to worry about it. But if you're a tank, watch your stacks. You want to have a way to drop your stacks. On a Necrotic Wake, I would take, on my Boomkin, I would take Mass Entanglement, so I can entangle and allow the tank to kite away for 9 seconds, and then he can go right back in, no problems. You've got Storming. Tornadoes spawn on the ground, and they'll throw you up in the air and interrupt you. It is a pain on melee. Ranged, because you're not really grouped up, you don't need to worry about it. You don't have the tank there with you. Melee, it gets crammed. So you're in there in melee range. You got the tank, depending on your healer. You may even have the healer there or another melee, and you've got tornadoes spawning all over the place. You're getting launched into the air. It's gray swirlies. Not hard to miss. I mean, you can't really miss them. Just move out of them. I've seen some tanks eat them, take the damage, eat them, so the melee doesn't have to worry about it. If your tank is strong enough and your healer's strong enough and they can live through it, then that seems to be the best way I've found to deal with them, is having the tank eat them. But if you just avoid them, it's easy enough. And then you have Volcanic. Enemies cause eruptions of flame near distant players. Additional volcanoes may appear near existing volcanoes. So you just keep an eye out on the volcano animation under you or on near your feet. You can't miss them. They're little volcanoes that they'll pop. They're red, they're orange, they shoot flames out. Just avoid them. That's all you have to do. Just move out of their way. Sometimes you may not have to move, but move. Move out of the way of them. If they don't spawn on you, don't move, because they will knock you in the air if you stand on one, and they'll do damage based on keystone level. And that's your weekly affixes. You've got at keystone level 2, you either have fortified or tyrannical. Level 4, you have fortified or tyrannical plus the level 4 affixes. Then you have the level 2, level 4, and level 7 affixes. And at level 10, you get the seasonal affix. This season, season 2, was you killed the servants of the jailers. You got powers that powered you through the dungeon. You could skip them and save some time, and the last boss of the dungeon would become empowered. For season 3, it's encrypted. Encrypted is enemies throughout the dungeon possess relics of the first ones. Destroy the relic to summon the first ones, automa, and gain powerful bonuses based on the order in which they were destroyed. So, the first relic you destroy in a pack determines the buff you're going to get. Mini boss appears after all 3 relics have been destroyed. After the mini boss is defeated, you get a buff depending on the relic you blew up first, / the mini boss you fought. We'll get more into that one as I play around with it. Starting Tuesday night, I'll actually be streaming some keys Tuesday night after raid. But there is a specific boss that grants a haste buff, which does seem like the one everyone's going to be going after to kill. I believe there is also one that increases your cooldown reduction time as well. So that might be an interesting one to go for also. But I'll do an encrypted video just in itself once I know a little bit more about it. And I am suspecting that our first week is going to be fortified, bursting, storming, and then tyrannical, raging, volcanic the week after. So those are the affixes. That's how they interact. If you want to see and read and not have to rewatch this video over and over and over again, you could just go to mythicpl.us, and it basically breaks all of this down. It lets you know, easy affix, medium difficulty, or hard affix. Inspiring, sanguine, quaking, volcanic are all easy. Mediums are your bursting, bolstering, raging, spiteful, grievous, explosive, and storming. And then your hard are necrotic, fortified, tyrannical, and that's it. There's not much to them. So with that, we'll cut the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you found it helpful, useful in any way, like, subscribe to the page, leave some comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you'd like to see. We're going to do some more Mythic Plus guides in the future, but I wanted to get you guys on your way. So enjoy Season 3 dropping Tuesday, and have a great day or night.